Alrighty, folks. Sorry I'm running late. Um, some stuff came up and I got a little distracted and forgot what time it was. Just one of those days, right? You know how things go like that? We've all had them. I know we have. Let me talk about couple of things today. Well, main thing I'm going to be talking about is this cancer thing going around. Um, it it bugs me. When I was a kid, the first 38, 39 years of my life, I knew maybe 20 people in that entire time. We're talking like one person a year who had been diagnosed or died from or was fighting cancer in all of my young years. In the last 3 years, that number has basically doubled. I mean, it is insane how many people are battling cancer right now. Dee's not going to be in today. We don't know about tomorrow or whatnot. Her brother-in-law has been in hospice with multiple stage 4 cancers, including some to the brain. They were not able to really combat it in any meaningful way. And unfortunately, oh, here's Ms. D. I was just talking about why we're covering this topic about your brother in law and why I want to do a little bit of digging into what they claim is causing this spike in cancers. I was just explaining about his cancer, but didn't quite get to the hospice part. Okay, good. Yeah, I do. Okay. To deal with that. Yep. Hey, Blue Rose. Yeah, I'm just man, if it ain't one thing, it's another with this shit. It's like mhm. Yep. No. Yep, I turn very yellow. Oh, you guys can't hear D. Oh, 1 second. Let me I apologize. Okay, now you should be able to hear her. Now you can talk again. I apologize.
The in-laws just kind of stayed back. Uh, I saw them at Easter. Uh, I have my own issue anyway with the whole death and dying thing, just because of what I've gone through. So it's fine. I'm at peace with whatever's going to happen. So Eric's been gone.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, they've been gone since I guess 11:30 ish. Uh, I don't know. As I said, the hospice nurse said death was imminent. That to me means like quickly, so I don't know how long.
In the next within the next few days.
Yeah, well, he's been that way supposedly for a while. Thanks, Blue Rose. Uh, so then I have uh, I was to go to see the PCP at 6:30, but they they were able to switch it to telehealth at 4 o'clock. So I'll hop off whenever they call. But my sister in law passed away at 54 in November of cancer, and that hit her liver and then spread. And she went through chemo, different types of things. And I mean, she was so jaundiced. Crazy bee, I've never seen anything like it from a
I
skin color.
battled jaundice as a baby, and then all throughout my years. If I take Tylenol 2 days in a row, guess who turns yellow?
Oh,
I
wow.
drink too much alcohol. Guess who turns yellow? My liver. There's something with it. They've never been able to give a diagnosis of exactly what. Where my bilirubin count is always elevated, right
Mm,
to that borderline where they're going to have to tell me to go sit in the sun for a few hours each day.
yeah.
Um, and that's just been my life. I'm used to it. I start seeing yellow in my eyes. I just go sit outside for a little bit.
Wow. That's crazy.
So
And
I understand. And jaundice, it tears apart your body
yeah.
if it lasts too long. It will break your body down.
Hmm.
And that's why it's important that if you have it, to get your ass outside in that sunlight. And my daughter has the same thing. She'll start turning jaundice. And I tell her to go sit in the sun. And she's like, no. I'm like, why? She's like, because it requires going outside. And I'm like, oh, for the love of Pete.
Put a chair in the yard for her.
Oh,
But that's one.
no, she just doesn't like being outside because of other people,
Yeah. Well, in the backyard, nobody should be there. Uh,
except the neighbors.
there you go. But that, I mean, that's one thing that that new Surgeon General said was that, kids today don't get enough sunlight. They're not
They don't.
outdoors enough to play, and neither are adults. We're all now
Uh,
cocooned in the house.
Actually, you know what? I should pull that up. I know we were leaving it for Sunday, not Sunday, but Tuesday.
Hmm.
Um, Let me pull up that video. I don't have it downloaded,
Yeah.
but I can do so quickly.
I made the mistake of draining the water. Now the noodles taste bland.
You're not supposed to. If you drain the water, you add the powder afterwards.
Well, the packet said to cook it with the thing.
He cooked ramen and then he drained the broth off after putting all the seasoning in the broth.
Because that's what the. Ma.
I love you, buddy.
You want it?
That's actually how I make it for Jacob.
Pop Pop doesn't.
That's how I
Yeah,
make it for
no,
Jacob.
buddy, I'm good.
No, he's good. Tell him he's good. That's the way I make it for Jacob.
That's the way Dee makes it for Jacob, her grandson. But if you don't like it, you don't have to finish it, honey. I promise you. I need to find that video
Uh, but
that
then,
we shared.
and then, so at the same time, she was battling cancer. So was
Like I beat.
my other
I beat
brother-in-law.
the pet.
But that hit his brain. I mean, it hit everywhere. I mean, I don't think there was a spot on his body that it didn't hit. And the freakiest thing about that was, and I
Mm-hmm.
have it somewhere, there's a video and everything that you can play to see how they do it, but you go and get this full head mask that has to be formed to your face so that
Mm-hmm.
when they go to pinpoint the radiation beams, they don't destroy
They
certain.
don't fry the wrong part of your brain.
Correct. And I'm telling you what, it is like seeing what was the name of that movie? The Man in the Mask or
Oh, the
whatever.
man in the iron mask.
Mask. That, yeah, that one. I'm telling you, I would have to be drugged in order to probably go through that process. I don't.
Unfortunately, they can't have you drugged. They need you awake to make
Uh,
sure they're not
I
frying the
mean,
wrong part of the brain.
you talk about wanting to be claustrophobic. Oh my God, this fucking thing was, I mean, horrific. And so he battled that, and the brain cancer, they got that gone. It was the
Hmm.
cancer in the rest of the body that you name it, he tried it. So I told you right before Easter, I got that text message that said they were going to try X, Y, and Z, or they were going to go to hospice. And I was
Hmm.
praying, dear God, please don't let them do X, Y, and Z. How much does a human person have to take? And how much is it that the family wants him to live when he had already said he made his peace, he just wants to go, right? And
Yeah.
so was he just doing it for the family? And so at Easter, he was having a lot of difficulty and he had moved from the chair over to the couch and I was holding the baby and I looked over and I would have told you I thought he passed right then and there. If you would have seen him,
Uh-huh.
it it was horrific. He took a gasp and came to and sat there for a couple.
That sounds like he was needing hospice a few weeks ago
Exact.
before Easter
Yes.
versus pushing it.
Uh-huh. And so he's been. They brought in all the hospital bed, everything,
Yep.
into the house, cleared out the living room of all the furniture.
I had family that did hospice care, and I've said before I've worked with hospice workers because of the patients that were in home care.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh yeah, they bring in everything,
Yeah, they had it all.
everything short of life support.
Right. And I just hope that I don't know what meds, if at all, he they gave him. So I just pray it was like my mother when I had her pulled off of life support, and they kept her highly medicated. And if she made a squeak, I called them and said, "Give her more." I was like, "I don't really care. I don't want her in any pain." And I've told you before, we treat our animals better than we treat humans. Uh,
Yes.
we really do. We do a piss poor job of death and dying, I think. I think
Well, it's again, people are in a way, and I'd hate to say it this way because it's going to sound absolutely brutal. Humans are selfish and they don't want to lose their loved one. So they do
right,
everything they can to keep them alive as long as possible, not caring what it puts them through.
right. Well, I'll tell you, I've told you, I have a living will in place. Do you
Yep.
think Eric has followed that at all?
Nope. Because he
Absolutely.
loves you.
That's right. And he's like, bitch, you're going to live for me for how, you know what I mean? Like, seriously, the 30-day coma had, well, that was the second worst, was coming out of that. When I came out of that and literally had to learn everything over again, I thought to myself, why did I even have this put in place when he didn't listen to any of it? He didn't do
Well,
one.
I will say, let me add this in. If he hadn't, we would have never met.
True, but I wouldn't be in the position I'm in now either. So I was going to have my son, my youngest son, the one I'm now no longer talking to, because he was like, hey, mom, I'd pull the plug in a heartbeat. And I'm
Now
like,
you
yeah,
know why.
yeah, I know you would, you son of a bitch. But
Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing.
you're allowed to laugh. You know him well enough. So
I know.
uh, it's a hard, you know, like I told Eric, you know, dear, if it's you, everything that's in your living will, I'm not. You're getting the
It's
plug.
followed to a T.
Yeah. It's like bye bye. Nice knowing you. I love you and all that, but go where you got to go.
I'm not going to
Okay.
let you suffer.
Mm-mm. No.
Blue Rose agrees with your husband.
What, that he shouldn't have listened to my living will? I don't even know why I had it then.
But again, we wouldn't have met you if he hadn't.
I know.
Everyone here would not have met you.
Yeah, this is true, but
This
I,
podcast wouldn't, the Rex Sisters podcast wouldn't exist.
but I have suffered greatly and
I
tried,
know you have.
and I have been in a coma 2 additional times. And when I say I'm fucked up from my toes to my nose and everywhere in between, how much is one person supposed to take till it gets to the point of enough is enough?
Art says, I told my mom I owed her 20 years, so she should just hang around and collect.
There you go.
That is so true. And
So
we've all been through this. Like I've
I,
said, growing up, I only knew like 20 people in my first 38 years of life,
yeah.
between family and family friends that battled cancer or lost to cancer. Now I've known double that
Uh-huh.
in the last 3 years.
We've been talking about this. Why?
But I haven't talked about it on here, but
Right.
it just doesn't make sense.
That and the autism thing does not make sense.
Unless you follow the genetic lines of autism, where there might be a genetic marker for it. In some
Right.
cases, especially Fragile X syndrome, it is
Mm-hmm.
very much a genetic autism.
Mm-hmm.
They can test for it. You can get
Uh,
tested for Fragile X.
Now Leslie's niece that I told you about, she's got to pull the name of it. I told you, she said whatever the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst is what she has.
Well, that's the thing, is each version of autism is severe, moderate, or mild.
Okay.
So each form of autism has severities, and they are all, when it's severe, it is bad. And they
Mm,
just tended back up until everyone decided it needed to become a spectrum. It was just called classic autism,
uh,
nonverbal, non functioning autistic.
mm-hmm.
Now you've got this. Well, look at me, diagnosed as autistic back in 1990. And I was worse as a child. I've gotten more adaptive as I gotten older, but as a
Right.
child, oh my god, it was hard. It was really hard, and not just for my parents, for me. I
Right.
remember, people telling me things, and it just didn't make sense, but it made perfect sense to everybody else in the room.
Mm-hmm.
How's that work? So yeah, it is a very tough thing. It really truly is. And again, autism, like I said, a lot of people who are barely autistic or have the genetic markers are having kids.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what happens when autistic people pass on genetics?
Exactly.
Oh, boom, you get
Yep.
me or my brother or your daughter-in-law's niece. I
Yep.
mean, hell, we've got four. Well, my ex-husband's not been officially diagnosed, but just hearing him and talking to him, you would be able to tell he's
Right.
on the spectrum somewhere. And that's four of us in a household.
Right.
Me and my daughter are the highest functioning, except her anxiety prevents her from leaving
Right.
and doing things. But other than that, like when it comes to handling finances and keeping on top of things that are needed, she and I are better at it. The guys, not so much. So, yeah, this
They're like the
entire
kids in the candy store.
nonsense.
Right.
Well, no, Buddy is really good at
I
budgeting his
know he is.
money
Yeah, when
to
he
the
wants
point where he
something.
won't buy himself clothing
Right.
just to get the game system he wants.
Right. Right.
Art says, my question is always, how much has the diagnosis changed things like pre-diabetes didn't even exist until the early 2000s? Exactly. The
Yep.
cholesterol levels that they use
Uh-huh.
now to put people on Lipitor and stuff like that has even changed.
Mm-hmm. And
And
I
I agree. I
yeah.
think they're just categorizing everybody until everyone has got
Well,
something wrong with them.
I think, were you able to pull that video?
Yeah,
Or
I
do you
got it
want,
here. Let me pull that up for everyone to watch. Where is it? This one.
and like I
Okay,
said,
let's
I'm gonna probably dip out and then dip back in, so
okay,
I don't
yep, let me
that
hit play on this,
because
and it's only
yeah,
4
how long?
minutes and 22 seconds.
Yeah. And
It's
this is
not an overstatement to say that I learned virtually nothing at Stanford Medical School about the tens of thousands of scientific papers that elucidate these root causes of why American health is plummeting and how environmental factors are causing it. For instance, in medical school, I did not learn that for each additional serving of ultra-processed food we eat, early mortality increases by 18%. This now makes up 67% of the foods our kids are eating. I took 0 nutrition courses in medical school. I didn't learn that 82% of independently funded studies show harm from processed food, while 93% of industry-sponsored studies reflect no harm. In medical school, I didn't learn that 95% of the people who created the recent USDA food guidelines for America had significant conflicts of interest with the food industry. I did not learn that 1 billion of synthetic pesticides are being sprayed on our food every single year. 99% of the farmland in the United States is sprayed with synthetic pesticides, many from China and Germany. And these invisible, tasteless chemicals are strongly linked to autism, ADHD, sex hormone disruption, thyroid disease, sperm dysfunction, Alzheimer's, dementia, birth defects, cancer, obesity, liver dysfunction, female infertility, and more, all by hurting our metabolic health. I did not learn that the 8 billion tons of plastic that have been produced just in the last 100 years, plastic was only invented about 100 years ago, are being broken down into microplastics that are now filling our food, our water, and we are now even inhaling them in our air. And that very recent research from just the past couple of months tells us that now about 0.5% of our brains are now plastic. I didn't learn that there are more than 80,000 toxins that have entered our food, water, air, and homes by industry, many of which are banned in Europe, and they are known to alter our gene expression, alter our microbiome composition and the lining of our gut, and disrupt our hormones. I didn't learn that heavy metals like aluminum and lead are present in our food, our baby formula, personal care products, our soil, and many of the mandated medications like vaccines, and that these metals are neurotoxic and inflammatory. I didn't learn that the average American walks a paltry 3,500 steps per day, even though we know, based on science and top journals, that simply walking 7,000 steps a day slashes by 40 to 60% our risk of Alzheimer's, dementia, type 2 diabetes, cancer, and obesity. I certainly did not learn that medical error and medications are the third leading cause of death in the United States. I didn't learn that just 5 nights of sleep deprivation can induce full-blown prediabetes. I learned nothing about sleep, and we're getting about 20% less sleep on average than we were 100 years ago. I didn't learn that American children are getting less time outdoors now than a maximum security prisoner. And on average, adults spend 93% of their time indoors, even though we know from the science that separation from sunlight destroys our circadian biology, and circadian biology dictates our cellular biology. I didn't learn that professional organizations that we get our practice guideline from, like the American Diabetes Association and American Academy of Pediatrics, have taken tens of millions of dollars from Coke, Cadbury, processed food companies, and vaccine manufacturers like Moderna. I didn't learn that if we address these root causes that all lead to metabolic dysfunction and help food and lifestyle patterns with united, strong voice, we could reverse the chronic disease crisis in America, save millions of lives and trillions of dollars in healthcare costs per year. Instead, doctors are learning that the body is 100 separate parts, and we learn how to drug, we learn how to cut, and we learn how to bill.
It's scary. And again, Art pointed out,
general.
Yeah, Art also pointed out, take all studies with a grain of salt. And I totally agree because a lot of those are paid studies. However, the exercise exposure to UV is a skin cancer risk. So who would you believe? Honestly, at this point, skin cancer is the easiest to treat. And you know what? I never use sunblock. And I have been burnt to a crisp multiple times in my life. I burn really bad the first time I'm out in a major sun exposure, and then I just stay tan the rest of the year. Since I was a kid, I've refused to wear sunblock and stuff because of sensitive skin and all kinds of other issues. I have never once had skin cancer. There was a small scare. I had this weird shaped mole that was very discolored and oddly it was just weird. So they did a biopsy and it was fine. I was like 13 or 14 when I found it. And I'm like, yeah, so they biopsied it. I was fine. It was just a
Mhm.
mole, even though it
Uh,
had all the markings of skin cancer.
I think moderation in the sun is probably key. I had malignant melanoma and basal cell cancer surgery on both. So the malignant melanoma was pretty significant. So I would be,
I'd spend 8 to 10 hours a day out in the sun.
yeah. Well, I was a lifeguard, so,
Yeah.
I was in the sun back in the
Well,
day.
it makes you wonder if it's the sunblock.
Well, I didn't back in the day, you didn't use sunblock. We used
Okay,
baby
you didn't
oil.
use sunblock.
Nope, we used baby oil and iodine. You wanted to
Oh,
tan.
I never did any of that. I just was
Yeah.
out there as was. I wasn't
And I
trying to
laid and
tan.
I laid on one of those frickin' space blankets, like that looked like rolled out aluminum foil. Yep,
Mhm.
that was back in the day. Started before the polls opened so that you could be tanned and not burn. But I paid dearly for that. Uh,
And see, I never added anything like you said about trying to be tan before the
y-
pools open. I never did that. And
yeah,
I think that might be the difference too. Or
yeah,
it could just be genetically you were more predisposition to it.
maybe. Who knows? Uh, but so I would say moderation. So she's our new surgeon attorney general, okay?
Mhm.
And she's going to be working with RFK and the surgeon attorney general that didn't get passed, and she's going to be the policy advisor. I can't think of her name off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Congress wasn't going to pass her, so she just Trump withdrew her name. So somewhere in between both of these things, I believe therein lies the truth, right?
Mhm.
It's this or that, and maybe this or that. Some of it's right and some of it's wrong. But for the most part, I want to say it's got to be in between. Although, when you start hearing shit about the plastics, the pesticides, they kind of give me reason for pause. When you hear
But
shit,
we went to the plastics to save the trees. Remember?
yeah,
That's why grocery stores stopped using paper bags.
right?
I worked at a Farmer Jack's. I'm
Or,
sorry, my voice is cracky.
yeah,
I worked at a Farmer Jack's when they were switching it.
mm-hmm. Um,
I remember all too well.
I don't really know the answer. I mean, she's saying what, point 0.5 was that point 0.5?
4.5% of our brain
Now
is
is
basically
plastic.
plastic.
Well, that explains what the fuck my problem is.
It
Um,
explains a lot of the people in society, but again, I've been exposed to the same amount of plastics as just about everybody else.
yeah, and
So what's wrong? I'm for the most part functionable.
yeah,
Why
uh,
do some people get worse than others?
that's a good question. That's what we're trying to figure out.
Um,
Yeah, she's
Art
not.
says that
Yeah,
he's not sure that Dr. Means, the spelling is right, has been confirmed. Trump has nominated her, as far as I know. Let
that
me
means
Google.
yeah. That might be correct. That may be correct. I think that he replaced her with that other one. She's just up for nomination.
Uh, no, she has not been confirmed by Congress for Surgeon General. NPR has reported she has faced criticism and pushback, which led to her nomination being withdrawn, and somebody else has replaced her.
Now she's being replaced too.
No, I think she was the one that was originally um pulled that you were thinking of.
Okay, that's possible. That's what
Oh
happened.
no, this was 4 days ago. I apologize. This was just as of 4 days ago. So whoever his first one was got pulled. This one's getting pulled. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought there was somebody that was before her that was going to
Hmm.
become his policy advisor.
Yep. Well, she just got yanked off the options list.
Oh, I wonder why. I'll bet you're
Probably
waiting
just a
for
little
that
too on
little bit.
point about how medical is
Uh
treating
huh.
symptoms, not the actual condition.
Yeah. So when you take a look at with based on what she said, right? I mean, I know we were trying to answer the issue of cancer.
Oh,
So,
I've still got that. We're gonna get to it, but she brought it
so
up.
right. So we have that, and I had stage 3 thyroid cancer as well.
Yep.
So then we find out that we had the rare autoimmune disease, right, which caused everything to go into havoc.
Yep.
So when you think about how medicine has changed, where at one point I had one doctor, I now have 19 specialists, right? 19.
Yep.
Nobody wants to do anything that is in the other's lane. I'm on how much medication? I have stripped it back to the most basic of what it takes to keep my ass alive. And when you hear shit like this, what she's saying, it's like, have I been being intentionally kept sick?
For financial gain.
Uh-huh, for financial gain by the medical community, the doctors referring me over to this one, they get referred over to a super. How many super specialists do I have? How many medications? You know what I mean? Like, what is the true answer here? I freaking don't know. I truly don't at this point. When I listened to her, I was like, holy shit, something's amuck in River City, which I've known. You and I've talked many times. You know what I mean?
Yep. YouTube
And
doesn't like it, so we have to be
exactly.
friendly.
Yeah. So it's like, at what point do you say enough is enough? And, I need 5 surgeries. I'm not doing a damn thing this year because I need a freaking break from surgeries. And how much is one person? I'm either a cash cow for somebody, the
Or a
medic.
guinea pig for another.
Exactly. Thank you. Or both.
I've been there my whole life.
Or
I mean,
both.
I was almost born without lungs.
Yeah. Or both.
Trust me.
Right? Or both. We're both, right? We're
Yeah.
both a cash cow for somebody. We're a guinea pig for somebody. Plus, I pay. My medicine is $7,000 a year out of pocket. That
Damn.
doesn't that does not count my copays for testing. That doesn't count my copays for surgery, my
Doctor
copay,
visits, ER
doctor visits,
visits.
ER, in the hospital, any of that stuff. We're
The
talking
stuff your insurance deems is not necessary, but your doctor deems it is.
exactly. So
That's a fun one.
right. So there's tens of thousands of dollars in the last since I got that diagnosis. I'm telling
Hmm.
you, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I've told you, they're either going to say, D, look, we've put enough fucking money into you, just die, bitch. Or they're going to say, D, we put so much money into you, girl, you're going to live till you're 100, whether you like it or not.
Yep.
So it's going to be one or the other because we're getting to make or break time here.
And it really does suck. And again, but it's all around. I'm seeing. And again, yes, lifestyle is a big part of this.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But
But
the
yeah,
fact that so many younger people are developing cancers that old people used to develop
right. Explain that.
is so alarming. And you know what they want to say? It's because, oh, we're living longer.
Hmm.
It's because, people aren't eating healthy and people aren't exercising
We're
enough.
not living longer. You and I proved that. We proved that we showed the stats that showed we're actually declining in our age.
Oh, tell that to them because according to 2024, it's because we're living longer. Here, let me show you guys what the Cancer Society wants to say. Hold on. And again, I'm using this so I don't get in trouble. Be patient. Any other complaints can be taken up on Discord. or X. Um, Let me enlarge this.
And remember, we are not providing any type of medical, legal, any type of freaking advice at all.
I
When-
am not
Right.
providing
And when I'm
anything
sharing,
for anybody. I am
right,
just asking questions and I'm doing my own research looking for
correct.
answers.
And I'm providing my own personal life experience. That's what I'm providing.
And that's all we're doing. We're not going to make any particular accusations. We're just wondering how people who've been through the same things somehow don't have the same medical outcome if they're going to keep blaming our environment.
Right.
That's what I'm getting at. Absolutely baffled by this. Hey, JJ, I see you over there, and I saw Gutter Girl pop in
Hey, guys.
from Gutter's Pub. So,
Good to see.
hi.
Nice to see you, JJ. It's been a while.
Sorry, I was having to take a little bit of albuterol. My asthma and allergies are absolutely flared up again, and I refuse to go and get put on steroids again. So I am just going to suffer through. Um, if I die from an asthma attack, y'all know I loved you guys very much.
You're not
Um,
anywhere either, so shut up.
I am not donating right now. Because according to the American Cancer Society has been getting millions of dollars in donations, God knows how much from federal funding, and they can't find jack shit to
No,
treat
it,
and
it's
cure
just like,
cancer.
yeah, it's just like the breast cancer. What's her name? The Komen Foundation,
Uh
right?
huh.
They've been getting money for the last, what,
Since
30,
they
40,
started,
since they
decades.
started, decades of hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'll be right back.
All right. So, over the past 30 years, the risk of dying of cancer has steadily declined. Right. Yeah. So 30 years it was on a decline, and then out of the last 4 years, give or take, it has however the rise for many common cancers. So wait, is it declined or is it increasing? You can't have contradictive statements like this. Um Cancer incidences, however, is on the rise for many common cancers. In the coming year, we are expecting to hit a bleak milestone for the first time. The first time new cases of cancer in the U.S. are expected to cross the 2 million mark. I know at least. Let's see. There's one, two, three that were diagnosed within the last year. One is got cancer almost to the point of remission thanks to chemo. Two were just more recently diagnosed. Dee's brother-in-law is passing away from it, and I've lost probably 4 or 5 family members in the last year and a half. And then you take in the people I know whose friends or other their extended family were diagnosed, and that takes it to like 40, 45, 50, somewhere in there. Hey Brent, we've been going to cure cancer in 10 years for, yeah, it's like climate change. And if they cure it, then they don't make any money off of it. It's a money scam, in my opinion. Let's continue reading. So, yeah, I've known like in my first 38 years of life, I only knew 20 people who had died or were diagnosed and battling cancer. Only 20 in almost 40 years of life. In the last 3, 4 years, well, let's go with 38. So in the last 5 years, we'll go even. 50 people, give or take. That is a massive uptick. And they're acting like this is just new. No, it's been going on for the last 5 years. We're going to just be nice here. That's almost 5,500 cancer diagnoses a day. I wonder where this is coming from. Let's find out. This trend is largely affected by the aging and growth of the population and by a rise of diagnoses of 6 of the 10 most common cancers: breast, prostate, endometrial, pancreatic, kidney, and melanoma. Melanoma is actually one of the easiest ones to treat. Um, just going to put that out there. It's and actually cervical cancer tends to be a very slow one. So, most people
Hold on. You said melanoma is the easiest to treat.
out of all the cancers they've listed.
Well, out of what they listed, yes, but it's the deadliest, one of the most
Yes,
deadly.
because most people don't realize it and it already
Right.
metastasized elsewhere.
Correct. So you got to be very careful uh, out in the sun with that.
And Brent, you want to know who funded this? Tax dollars and donations.
Uh huh. As usual.
Yep. In 2024, there were over 611,000 deaths of cancer from cancer are projected to the U.S. or for the U.S. Now, here's the other thing. Okay, so our population boomed with the open border moments for 4 years, and so our American health system is treating those cases, and that is also impacting our numbers. That's another thing to take into consideration. And
Do they
mind you, I'm trying to
separate?
keep open-minded here.
Yeah. Do they keep that separate though? By
No,
any
they do
chance?
not.
No, I
No.
figured not. Okay.
Uh, because of the way that we have to support HIPAA by not giving away all that. When they report these cancer cases to the Association and places for the studies, it is literally a number and a brief description of the patient's race, age, and what cancer they have.
Okay.
That's it. They get no name. They get no other
Right.
identifiers.
They do
Thank
get
you,
race
HIPAA.
though, right?
They get race, but again,
But we don't know if they're illegals or not.
exactly. Which is why I am taking everything with a grain of salt, but still keeping an open mind. And yes, I will do moderate gymnastics to stretch my back to reach to the point that I can use to disprove any you know, weird things. I'm desperately trying to give them the credit of the benefit of the doubt, and give them the credit. Okay, I'm trying to make it that way so that it looks like they're honest. I'm not here to disprove them, but I'm here to ask further questions. So, yeah, be patient with me while I do slight mental gymnastics to reach for accepting their beliefs and their numbers. These estimated numbers of new cancer cases and deaths for this year are from the Cancer Statistics of 2024, um, and the Cancer Facts and Figures and the Cancer Statistics Center. Rising incidences of some of the most common cancers. Some are related to excess body weight. Wait, but body positivity.
Mm.
We can't blame that. How dare you? How dare you blame that? I'm beautiful the way I am, and I'm healthy no matter what. Sorry. I
You're
don't know if anyone picked up on the sarcasm there, but it was heavily
Yeah,
sarcastic.
I did. Along with the
Okay.
train.
Yes, sorry. I live a block from a railroad track. It's just part of life. So, although the cancer death rates have been on the decline, rising diagnoses, again, we're repeating. Cervical cancer, though, I want to point out, is one of the slowest moving cancers along with melanoma. I knew someone who had cervical cancer for over 10 years before she finally had it so bad she had to do something about it. And then she died within 2 years of starting treatment. And this was back 25 ish years ago. So we're talking way back. And yeah, it's not okay. Oral cancer is associated with HPV. No one would think that HPV could end up in your mouth, but it does.
I wonder how.
And I'll give you one good guess as to how that happens. We're all adults here. I shouldn't have to go into details.
tell us how that happens?
No.
No, you don't
Of
want to.
course, if cancer is down, then funding will generally go down. So there's a financial motive for claiming things are up.
Right.
Yes, that is true. And actually, I got a case somewhere. Oh, I'll have to find it, and show it later. It was a woman who was diagnosed with cancer just to find out it wasn't cancer, and she went through a full hysterectomy just
Oh,
to find out it wasn't even cancer. It was cysts. Talk about being pissed off because she was childbearing age, and now she could never have kids.
wow.
Yeah, but guess who got the money for the treatments that she went through?
Yep. Of course.
Guess who got the money for the research? Guess who got the money for the medicines that weren't needed? Yeah. So, um, liver cancer is up in women, colorectal cancer in people younger than 55, and that would be my one ex brother in law. He falls into that one, along with lung, stomach, esophageal, and I think, yeah, the stomach, the esophagus, both lungs, and the colon all got hit with cancer. So, although there aren't always ways to detect most cancers early, four of the cancers with increasing trends have screening tests of breast, prostate, colorectal, and cervical cancers. That is true. They are the easiest ones to detect, other than the skin cancer, which people just need to pay attention for. And there you go. I mean, like seriously, there are images everywhere. They've been in doctors' offices telling you to look out for melanoma and what you should report, and if your skin turns out like this. I mean, I remember that as a kid in the '90s. The
Right.
push for recognizing melanoma. I mean, come on. That we're talking 30 years ago. They've had these pictures everywhere, not just dermatologist's office, but even my pediatrician's office.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, anyways, yes, these are very important ones to get testing for. Even the slow moving ones can kill you. But again, it's part of life. The risk of developing six of these cancers on their rise is associated with excess body weight. Someone better cancel them. Listed in the order of strength of the association. So the endometrial, so the uterine lining, um, if I remember correctly. Yeah, endometriosis is, yeah. So endometrial cancers, uterine, ovarian, cervical, reproductive for females. Um, that is heavily linked to excess body weight, liver. Yep, fatty liver can turn into a lot more. Kidneys. Yes, you do not want to strain the kidneys. The pancreas, because it's trying to deal with all that sugar that you put into your body that leads to the fat, and you overload your pancreas, and all of a sudden you start needing insulin on a daily basis after all three meals, etc., etc. Colorectal, and then breast cancer. Um, So the top ones right now, 29% of male cancers being diagnosed is prostate, then lung, bronchus, then colorectal, urinary bladder. That is so stupid.
I know.
Bladder.
It's
Okay,
okay.
anyways.
It's okay.
Melanoma of the skin. Well, makes sense. I mean, where else?
Mm,
Anyways,
I know.
kidney, renal, pelvis, non Hodgkin's lymphoma, oral cavity and pharynx, leukemia, pancreas, and then all other sites is less than 3%. Oh no, a total number for all sites is 1,029,080. For women, breast cancer is at 32%. Um, the lung and bronchus is next. Colorectum is on there as well. Melanoma of the skin, jackasses, non Hodgkin lymphoma, then pancreas, then thyroid. So women are having more thyroid problems than men. Interesting. kidney, renal, pelvis, which also the uterine would yeah, the uterine cancer is up. Then the kidney, renal, pelvis, and then leukemia. Estimated deaths from this, the lung and broncho is looking like it's going to take out the most of, averaging 20 to 21% of male and female both.
Do they give the
Um,
reason for that? Is that due to smoking?
I'm going to assume they are going to blame it on smoking.
Okay.
Um, Hold on, prostate cancer, some forms are also very slow. So if you get it at 70, odds are you'll die of natural causes. Yes. And that is true for men. The prostate cancer is a very slow one. And again, unless you go for routine exams like every year or so that the doctor recommends, you
Wait,
aren't going to
you
know.
wanna you wanna hear a sad but kind of funny story? Eric's
Hmm.
grandfather was 91 or 92 when he got diagnosed with prostate cancer. They operated to remove it. Not only did they do that, but at the same time, they circumcised him. He was a little man, hunched over, and when we came home that day to see him from when he came home from the hospital, he was so little laying on that couch. And we were just like, I, I, I don't even know what to say about the prostate was one thing, but you really had to circumcise him at 92. Really?
There might have been a reason, a
Okay.
medical reason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's linked to prostate, but maybe to prevent infection. Um, that's all
Mm-hmm.
I could think of. The last thing you want is a urinary tract infection after
Mm-hmm.
prostate surgery.
So just
Um,
circumcise him. Okay, I see how that works.
I'm stretching here.
Okay, we were stretching too. We weren't quite sure why, but
That's the only thing I can really come up with is
it was
because
so
again,
sad.
difference between
If
circumcised and uncircumcised is, well, there's
I
medical
mean,
reasons for it.
he was
Eh,
probably about 5'1", something like that. He was the smallest, when he had all of the kids were just towered over him.
yeah,
And then when he got so bad, and he was up in his bedroom, and he ended up having to wear diapers and stuff, and everybody had to go
yeah.
change him. So we were there babysitting him, and my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law went up to take care of him, and it was like taking care of a baby almost.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I've changed more than one diaper and
Uh-huh.
catheter of
Yeah.
various forms of catheter in
Yeah.
my life.
Uh-huh. Just interesting stuff that I told you I made the decision where they want to do that. They need to do an MRI, but I can't have them done from all the metal. So they
Yes.
claim there's I forget the name of the part of the brain in the back of your head that they want to check to make sure I don't have cancer. And so we're going to do a CT scan with contrast. And I said, and this was here's a prime example. The majority of the time, you can't even see the spot that we want to see, but we're going to try to do it anyway. And
Yeah.
I'm like, here we go, another waste of money and $250 shot for copay to get a
Uh-huh.
CT scan done, right? But that's okay.
A
And I
CT
said,
scan that may not even give them what they need.
exactly, another waste of time. And I said to them, you know what? If it is cancer, it's cancer, and I'm done. You know what I mean? We're done. I'm not. I'm done. I'm done messing around. It's whatever happens happens at this point.
And I'm just going to point this out, and it's not medical advice, but a lot of research since 2018 in Mexico
Mhm.
has been showing strong links that ivermectin, on its own and in combination with another antiparasitic, have been working to
Yep.
battle and combat cancer. I'm not saying go do this. Talk to a doctor always. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm just pointing out that since 2018, Mexico has been doing some deep research into this, and it's very promising research.
You would think that
So
the
I
United
don't get in trouble.
States, yeah, you would think that the United States would want to do it. But why wouldn't they? Because,
They might have, and it might have been buried.
yep,
There's no proof one way or the other,
right.
because, yeah. Again, anything that shows potential to cure all of a sudden gets made super expensive, or
Uh-huh.
patents get taken over, and people who created patents go MIA.
Yep, there you go.
Just going to point that out. Dude who made that water based engine, or the carburetor that gets like 100 something
Right.
miles. Oh, he
Yep,
could use it on his vehicles, but he couldn't sell it to anybody else. GM saw to that.
right.
Um, yeah, that guy went missing
Mm-hmm.
under mysterious circumstances.
Yeah, they
And
think of
some
some type of accident or
art.
something.
I'm listen. I'm listened a refusing treatment. Oh, listed a refusing treatment because I simply got tired of testing that wasn't going to tell us anything, or that was going to tell us what we
Right.
already knew. Yep,
Yep.
I get it. And again, you can come to that point in your life, very much so. We have had multiple patients that were non-compliant, as it's put in the medical field. Um, but again, at 90 years old, 80 years old, I don't think you should be forced to comply,
Right.
especially if you're of sound mind. And I have met some people that old who were sharper and more aware of what was going on than their own kids were, or their grandkids, or their great grandkids.
Right.
So yes, I personally believe that there is the people who are of sound mind. It is not dementia as to why they're refusing their medicines. It's they're just sick of it, and they're allowed to be sick
They've
of
had
it.
it. Yeah, you've had it. And mind you, I'm not 80 or 90 yet, but you
Mm-hmm.
get to a point. I mean, the stuff that I'm doing now and all the testing and everything that I'm doing now, I initially refused to do, right? To where
Uh
they were
huh.
off everybody. But after thinking about it several days, and this was months ago, I decided that it was necessary to go through it, despite some of it's going to require some surgery, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if I could get any answers more than we have now to be able to give my boys and to my grandchildren, I feel I owe it to them. I
Well, and
owe it
that's
to I owe it,
understandable.
yeah, I owe it to my lineage with how fucked up every family member has been with some type of weird illness or some shit going on. If we could find any answer to anything, I
Yeah.
I view that as a plus.
And I am in the same boat that if it came down to it, get the testing, fine,
Right.
whatever. But when it comes to treatment, if it's something like
Oh
cancer or
yeah.
that, I'm
Yep.
telling you
No.
where to go and what to do when you get there.
I mean, it would depend on what it is, and I would have to consider it greatly. You know what I mean? But uh, I have my 20-year plan. So if my 20-year plan doesn't hold true, then wherever we go, we got a problem. But we shall
Yeah.
see how life goes. That's all I could say.
Oh,
We need,
yeah.
you
And
know,
I understand it.
yeah. But
I understand.
I just don't understand why we're getting, how can it be my sister-in-law at 60, at 54, my brother-in-law at 67, all diagnosed within a year. I mean, your brother-in-law within, I mean,
The
knock on wood.
last year.
Yeah, knock on. Like, how? How do we know other people, too, that we know? How? Why? What the hell is going on? Is it coincidence?
And I'll tell you what, my ex brother in law is not carrying around extra body weight.
Right.
That man is thin as a rail and always has been thin
Neither.
as a rail.
Yep. My sister-in-law was a little bit on the chunky side. My brother-in-law thin as a frickin' rail. Out
But
of
and
the
this is before cancer. This is before cancer.
Yeah, likewise.
And
Yeah.
this is where I'm confused that I mean, again, almost everyone I've known who's been diagnosed with cancer was never morbidly obese
Right.
and were overall healthy in most of their life.
Right.
I mean, yeah, there might have been the smoker here or there that that they blamed that the lung cancer on, but I've known very few smokers who were actually diagnosed with lung cancer and died from it.
Hmm.
And I'm not promoting smoking. I'm just saying, in my personal experience, I have known very few who've
Well,
actually gotten lung cancer from cigarettes.
right. And I'm gonna go out on the limb and say I'm gonna be taking up drinking because that's the only freaking thing that does work.
Hmm. And
But
there's nothing wrong with having a serving
I
or two
know.
of
Well,
alcohol a
and
day.
I'm permitted to do that, right? I'm permitted to have 2 glasses of wine every night. However, wine really is, I don't know, from I could drink it, whatever. I could do it. What does the girl prefer though?
Vodka. And
Uh
vodka has its health, all alcohol has its health
yeah.
benefits in
So,
moderation.
right. And we've talked about, I don't abuse my narcotics. So, but I do worry that from an alcohol standpoint, I that's one thing that works, right? That's one
Hmm.
thing that works that takes the pain away and I can get by several hours worth of sleep. I would be afraid that I would then want it for lunch. Then lunch would turn into let's have one for breakfast. Then it would be,
Well, why are you going to sleep that much in a day?
what do you mean?
Well, if you use the alcohol only to go to sleep and
No,
not treat pain,
and to treat pain.
uh,
So it's for both. It would be pain, and at nighttime it would be to help me
well,
sleep.
just use it for bed. Don't use it for pain.
Yeah, I know. But out of everything that I have, Crazy B, that is truly the only thing that works for my pain. Truly,
I
absolutely,
say go for it. And at your age, what does it
absolutely.
matter if you become an alcoholic?
I could spend the next 20 or 30 years as an alcoholic. That would be great.
I'm just joking. And
Log,
by the
I
way, for the
log
sake of YouTube,
log
I'm
into
not
Rec
telling her to go do
Sisters.
this.
Log into
I'm
Rec
just
Sisters.
being
I
sarcastic.
log into Rec Sisters to see the crazy alcoholic sister at it again. That would be funny as shit. Hell.
Smoked and oh, hold on. Art says smoked and worked around solvents, asbestos, toxic metals for 15 years. So obviously, every possible cancer diagnosis is due to smoking.
That's the truth. Isn't that the truth?
It seems to be. It
It's
really does seem to
up.
be.
It's really messed up. It truly is. I, you know, then here you have, it doesn't, I just can't like still wrap my head around things, right? There's my mom and
Hmm.
dad gone at 66 and 67. Then there's Eric's parents at 93. Make sense to me.
Well, that's like my dad. His mother lived to be 92, and his uncle just passed away. My dad's 76 in June, and his uncle just passed away. His
Gee.
uncle was over 100. I think he said 102. Art says my alcoholism is the least of my issues. Yes.
Yeah, I'll agree with that, Art. Just kidding. We love you.
Honestly, though, I couldn't even do that because of my liver. I couldn't use alcohol to help with my physical pain because, well, my liver. It sucks. It really sucks. It's like I can't use anything Tylenol.
Right.
I can't use a lot of things that get processed through the liver. And it's like, damn, this sucks.
Hmm.
Yeah, they try to give me they've given me they tried giving me Tylenol 3s one time and I'm like, "Uh-uh, don't you dare. That'll destroy my liver." That's like the max dose of Tylenol you can get. Um, and it's mixed with some kind of opioid thing. But like even your Norcos, Vicodin, stuff like that are all Tylenol based. There's
Right.
acetaminophen in it,
Right.
and I can't take those all the time without risking liver problems. So
Right.
we're limited on what pain medicines we can give me. It's opioids or anti-inflammatories, but with the IBS, anti-inflammatories, NSAIDs don't go very well.
Right.
And I'm avoiding opioids as much as possible. And so I'm a tough cookie to treat because of the other problems. And it really sucks. And again, they're trying to blame age and weight. How is it again, all these people are no older than 60, 70,
Mm-hmm.
when most of the time cancers don't kick in until 70, 80, 90.
By any chance, Crazy Bee, do you have any stats on other countries, or could we get them?
Um
Can we get them for
I
like?
I can look them up. Hold on. Cancer rates around by country. Oh, let me try spelling it right. Okay. Global cancer data. Here we go. From the World Cancer Research Fund. There's the tab to show it. So, let's take a peek at um I don't care who donated. Go away.
Yes, Brent, we're looking at cancer deaths, correct? Cancer incidence.
Cancer diagnosis and or death.
Right.
And in China and the US, more than 1 million cases of cancer, including non melanoma skin cancer, and 22 among women. Global cancer morbidity between both sexes. Three countries are China, India, and the US.
Wow, China, that's interesting. And India.
We can take some guesses as to how that's happening there.
Yeah.
Their work conditions, their
Yep.
stress levels. Yeah. You might be able to get them from the British NHS. Yeah, I don't trust a lot of places. And I'm just throwing this up here. I'd love to see something on the lines of statistics, but I'm not seeing any. Just them telling us. Um, I just want a map. Top 5 countries for all cancers, including non melanoma. Mongolia is for both sexes. Zimbabwe, Hungary, Poland, and Romania. Those are for by ASR, age standardized rates. Okay. Um, and Australia, New Zealand, Denmark, the US, and then Norway.
Wow,
So
look at
around
the
the
yeah.
world, it seems.
Look at the difference.
And that's something we should point that out. Look at America versus New Zealand. But again, we have a larger population than New Zealand.
Exactly, but still.
I'm just going to point that out.
Right.
I mean, they are by far smaller in
And so is
population.
Denmark and Norway, but
Actually, all of them are.
yeah.
That's why the combine. Well, hold on, let me jump back down here to the China and India, US ones. Okay. Okay, so the whole world, there have been 9,743,832 cases of cancer. China takes the lead or close to it. I don't even see the US on here. Hold on. Where's the United States? Wow, this is literally every freaking country. So where was the United States? I thought we were one of the worst ones with cancers.
Is it up at the top, very top?
Oh, there it is. We're the top three. So China holds the most with 2,574,000. India 916,872. The U.S. was 605,000, and this was for which cancer? Global cancer mortality of both sexes. So these are people who have died from cancers around the world, and we are the top three. But China really has kicked our butt, and so has India. But India also has subpar health
But
and
I
subpar
thought
living conditions.
but I thought that what you just showed us on the am I wrong, on the other screen showed, was it 2 million?
That was for diagnoses.
Oh, okay.
This was
No,
for
no, not on this one, on the other page from the what the other
oh, they're expecting 2 million deaths in the year 2025, 2024. They were expecting 2 million.
okay, and they didn't get it.
Oh no, I'm not. Not. I'm sorry. Not deaths. Diagnoses. I
Okay.
apologize. It was two
That's okay.
million new diagnoses.
Okay, so then that is up there with China then, right?
This is people. The one
Because
that I showed of
actually,
China was people who've died from it.
gotcha. Okay.
That was the mortality.
Well, if that's the case, then how many people in China have cancer? You know what I
A
mean?
lot.
Exactly. Why?
Um, some of the higher rates of death is due to lack of available treatment, and some countries may underreport due to poor available health reporting.
Right.
That's true too. These are all things that people should take into consideration. And thank you, Art, for thinking of it while I'm busy still trying to process numbers and pull up things and roll and scroll and
And
run
that's
the.
my fault. That's my fault. Sorry.
No, this is questions that need answers. You don't have to run any of it. This is me. You're free to if you want to try. That'll be entertaining.
I'm
You
still
want to
waiting
try
for
sharing
the
the screen?
no, I'm still waiting for the doctor's office to call. They're almost a half hour late.
Oh, you should charge them for being late like they charge
Exactly.
you.
Exactly.
Just going to point that out.
I will. I'll tell her that.
So, yeah, cancer rates and stuff are skyrocketing around the world, not just in America. And we have billions and trillions of dollars of research over the last
Yeah.
century. They've been looking into it.
Yeah. So Susan Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. I had been involved in that for I can't tell you how long, right? Everything from
Hmm.
work, races, walks, talks, you name it, part of it. Uh, and I was never a breast cancer person, but because of my jobs, I always had to be involved in it,
Participate.
participate. So the millions of dollars that each city raises, each chapter raises, each national office raises, you mean to tell me that in all these years,
Oh, that's
oh,
weird.
sugar.
Uh oh. If I have to mute her, I will.
Sorry I
Okay,
missed
hold on.
you.
Let me mute D. Okay, I muted her. She'll have to notify me when she's done. Could be worse. Lawyers charge for the phone call you missed. Yes, that's true. Oh my god, that is so true. That is absolutely insanely true, and it's not okay either. Um Oh, that's weird. Um, I'm sure she'll be back when she can. Um, but yeah, these cancer rates are going up and there's no good explanation and no universal treatment that will help people out. It's alarming to say the least. And I will never understand how it's acceptable for this kind of crap to happen. I mean, all the money that we have been sinking into research and stuff, I don't know. This is bull crap. Where's this money really going? And what are they doing with the actual results they find? Are they botching it? Are they fudging it? Smudging it? Something just isn't right. That this is a continuing situation, and I know so many people in just the last year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, even. It's insane. It is absolutely insane, the numbers. And like I said, growing up, there were just too many people that were perfectly fine. Cancer was not explained. My grandmother had cancer when she was like 70, 80 years old. That makes sense. For these 20, 30, 40 year olds, 50-year olds, it doesn't make sense. Most of the people I've known who've gotten cancer in the last year and a half are much younger than they should be. It is something's not right with it. Something is seriously not right with these numbers. And I mean, now we're looking on the global level, and it's a whole insane, insane level that we're looking at this. I mean, I just mind blowing. It is absolutely mind blowing. So global cancer incidences of both sexes worldwide. Wow, 19,976,499. China takes the lead. The US is right behind it with 2,380,189. This is wild. And again, a lot of these places, like Art pointed out, may be underreporting. It's just, it blows my mind. It really, truly does. All these numbers. It just, oh. Perhaps the increase is evolutionary issue related to increasing life expectancy or just evolution in general. It could be, but why so young then? They say it's supposed to be because people are living longer, but there's so many that are under the age of 50, under the age of 60 even, that are getting diagnosed. I mean, I had a cousin who had thyroid cancer when she was 18. She hadn't even gotten fully out of school, and she had thyroid cancer. I mean, this is nuts. Um, they've lost basically all credibility. It's hard to believe any of those numbers that they're even putting out. I'd guess it was even higher given people I've talked to in the past 5 to 6 years. I would too. I would absolutely say the same thing. I mean, it's like, what in the heck? What happened in the last 6 years that cancer skyrocketed? And I'm not trying to blame one thing or another. I'm not trying to make it into a conspiracy. But what on the planet has really, truly changed that made this more likely to happen? And again, a lot of the people I know were not morbidly obese. I mean, they were healthy, active people who all of a sudden have cancer. It just makes no sense to me. And I don't understand why. And I mean, they're taking some things into consideration, obvious ones, but what are we missing? There's got to be something we're missing that's being increased on a public level that that is evidently causing cancer. Is it a medication? We don't know. Is it a hair product? Is it something in the clothing materials? Something in the food? I mean, I at this point I would love to just have everything tested for carcinogenics at this point. It's so wild that in the year of 2022, 19 million people were diagnosed. And that's the other thing is, wait a minute. They're saying, hold on, come back here for a minute. First year, the US expects 2 million new cases of cancer. But when you come back over here, this is 2022, they already had 2 million plus. Who's lying? The American cancer or the world cancer? How would it be the first time of 2 million when this is supposedly from 2022? Okay, so now who do we believe? There's a good question. Who do we believe? If evolution results in increased risk, it may be a risk for any age. Combining in the risk of modern society and a combination may increase in increase the incidences. It gets difficult to determine. Yes, that is so true. But I still am curious, who's telling the truth? The American Cancer Society or the World Cancer Research Fund? Because according to the American Cancer Society, these numbers are wrong for 2022. That it would be our first time ever hitting 2 million cases diagnosed last year. But yeah, uh, this is again where you got to be careful and look at everything and ask these questions because someone's got their numbers wrong, or someone's trying to fearmonger, or there's like, I can think of a dozen things that could be, but nobody's talking about. No one's talking about the root cause of cancer. Oh, it's just a cell mutation. Okay, what causes the cell to mutate? Something we are being exposed to is causing our cells to mutate and reproduce and respawn and all that other shit. This isn't okay at all. This is very bothersome. And here's a bunch of people donating to them. Or so they claim is a donation. I don't think it's an accurate. I think they're just putting names up to, you know, make it look like a lot of people are donating to get you to donate. But yeah, this is alarming. From 2022, America already hit 2 million new incidences. But they're trying to tell us that and if you exclude non melanoma skin cancer, the number drops in half. So skin cancer is evidently a big player too in 2022. This is interesting. When you include it, you get your 2,380,000, and then you come down here to the non melanomas and it drops to 183. That's almost in half. That's scary. Why are there,
What are you
uh,
on about?
why there's a massive spike in cancers?
COVID?
We can't say that because of YouTube.
Are you on YouTube?
Yes, I am.
Oh, the big flu.
Go do something productive.
I did. I just said the big flu.
You're going to get me in trouble.
The big C flu that begins with C and ends with truck, fire truck.
Go do something else. Go clean the bathroom.
Someone's in there.
Well, when they get out, I want that bathroom disinfected. Um, this is very alarming. And I think maybe someone should look into what my son suggested. I'm not saying it's a cause, but I'm saying maybe it should be looked into. I mean, there's just so much going on. And supposedly every cancer is slightly different and it has to be handled. There's got to be more to this. There has to be more to this. And they're just not being good people and putting it all together. There's smarter people than us working on this. They can manage to take in trillions of dollars for this, like we've pointed out before, but curing it would mean no more money. Treating it means no more money. Time to wring his neck. I know. Don't tempt me, JJ. Don't tempt me. I love my son, but it's tempting. He's trying to get me in trouble, but that's why I'm keeping this open minded. I don't want to do like people who blame autism on all vaccines and this, that, and the other. It's not.
Autism causes cancer.
No. But I mean, we do need to really maybe stop goofing around with trying to drag this out and legitimately cure this frickin' nonsense. And again, like I pointed out, Mexico has been doing some really good studies with a lot of promising results that ivermectin and some whichever other one it was in combination can take out just about any cancer. I'd love to see it work. And if you want to try it, you're free to contact your doctor and see what they say. But this research has been in works since 2018, so that's 7 years now. They've been working on it. So yeah. I know I got a bit of a late start. Um, I've covered just about everything, and I don't know when D's gonna be available again. So I'm probably gonna just wrap this up. Um, and get ready to call it a day. As you can hear, my congestion and shit is just all levels of messed up. So we'll call it a day and go from there. So, with that, I thank you all for showing up, being here. And as usual, stay safe, stay sane, stay sober. I truly appreciate those who showed up and those who are going to be watching later on. I will catch y'all on the next one.